You're watching GAB with ALisa Profiles on MetroCast Channel 10, and we have a wonderful show for you today. You know, I think one of the hardest jobs on the planet is being a parent. But what about being a biological parent and then deciding, I'm going to be a foster parent? Or what about being a couple that doesn't ever have children of their own and saying, I think we'll be foster parents? I think foster parenting is an amazing calling. And with us today, the lady we're going to profile, Teresa Crouch, is not only a foster parent, but she and her husband are also training other foster parents in this area. So we're going to profile Teresa Crouch, and we're going to talk about fostering in St. Mary's County. We'll be back in just a moment. You're watching GAB with ALisa Profiles on MetroCast Channel 10.
Being your best is all about how you feel inside and out. If you feel good, you look good. Hi, I'm Dawn Campbell. Join me on MetroCast Channel 10 for Be Your Best. I'll show you creative ways to dress for success, give you quick health and fitness tips, and daily ideas for living the life you were meant to live. Be Your Best airs weekdays exclusively on MetroCast Channel 10 and is brought to you by Fitz Auto Mall.
Hi, this is James Lepore. Do you know what St. Mary's County is buzzing about? If you don't, then tune into MetroCast Channel 10 to find out. The Buzz is a weekly entertainment program featuring artists, performers, and entertainers from the area. Find out where the hot spots for entertainment are this weekend. We've got the scoop on all the fun each week on The Buzz. The Buzz is brought to you on MetroCast Channel 10 by Birch Propane. Efficient, environmentally friendly propane. Call for details, 301-373-2131.
You're watching GAB with ALisa Profiles. Thanks for joining me. With me today is Teresa Crouch. Teresa, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
I am really excited to talk to you because you do something and I stand back and say, wow, you're part amazing, part crazy,
yes,
part wonderful, and all brave.
Oh, that's sweet.
You're a foster parent, and we're going to talk about your journey from becoming a parent. You have two biological boys of your own.
I do.
The journey that you and your husband took to become foster care parents, and then how much you have loved it. You've adopted some foster kids, and now you and your husband are also training potential foster parents in our area. So as you can see, this is a big, wide story to talk about and to tell. And I sincerely mean it when I stand back and say, wow, you have boys, you had them, you raised them, you're on your way to out the door, and you decided
so
to foster.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. What was the deciding factor when you said, okay, I'm done raising my biological children, but I'm still not done being a mom, so let's consider foster care?
Well, it's an interesting story, really. I decided when I was about 27 years old that I wanted to expand our family through adoption.
Okay.
And my husband and I weren't exactly on the same page about that. We had two children, and he was very content with that, and I was very content with that, but I just didn't feel like our family was necessarily complete. I had felt a calling on my heart since I was actually a very little girl that I wanted to have tons and tons of kids. But it didn't work out that way for us. And it took me about 10 years of persistence. My husband might call it nagging, but I call it persistence of working out this journey with him because we're married, I can't do this alone.
Sure.
So I needed his support and I needed his full and complete cooperation and buy-in to this process because children deserve nothing less than 100% of both of their parents. And he finally came around to my way of thinking, as he so often does. And we decided as a compromise that we would try foster care versus adoption.
Oh, right, okay.
And honestly, it was the best decision ever because it has opened my eyes to an entirely new world of such brokenness, but also such beauty. Okay. It's been an amazing journey, and I wouldn't change a minute of it. It's been very difficult at times, it's been very joyous at times, but it's been an amazing, amazing journey.
And you know what, I think that that's what has really attracted me to you, to what you do. I remember the first time we ever met and talked, we were sitting at a picnic, and we started talking about who does what and what they do, and you were talking about fostering, and then we got deeper into the conversation because I truly do stand on the outside. I've never been a foster parent, I don't know anything about the world, and I love how you talk about fostering, you don't talk about it from a perspective of saving the world and taking care of these.
Oh, no.
It is so much different from that, even though you have adopted foster kids, and they are now your very own forever and forever.
Yes.
But I really wanted to kind of open the door today, if you will, to what foster care is like in St. Mary's County, what your heart as a foster mom and as a mom, what your heart looks like, and then what it looks like in our community. So it took you 10 years. You are a tough lady.
I'm persistent.
10 years to talk your husband into it. And
Yes.
we should mention Commander Crouch for the U.S. Navy.
Yes.
Thank you for his service.
We're honored.
10 years to talk him into this. And now, how many years have you been a foster parent?
About 7 years.
Okay.
Our home is currently closed to accepting any placements, just because we don't have any bedrooms.
There you go.
And my husband would say, no more kids. But I don't know, I'm pretty persistent. You never know how things will go.
See what happens in 10 more years.
That's right, you never know. But I forgot your question.
Just what got you to deciding that this is what I'm going to do, and what does it look like?
Well, I have to say that I didn't have any idea what to expect, because it's nothing I had ever had any experience with. I didn't know what it meant, and it's easy to think, oh, I'm just going to go save a child who's in need.
Right.
That's just so far from reality that I can't even begin to tell you how far that is from reality, because one of the natures of abuse and neglect, because the children that we're dealing with are in a crisis situation. They've experienced trauma, often through abuse or neglect, but that environment that they live in is their own. They love their parents.
Absolutely.
And as a foster parent, it's very important to nurture and protect the relationship between the child and their biological family. That relationship is paramount. It is every human being's fundamental right to be loved and nurtured by their family and by their parents. When that can't happen safely in their home is when they come into foster care. So my job then is to figure out the best way to facilitate that relationship and make sure that they can grow and heal together and hopefully reunify as a family. That doesn't always happen, but in the majority of cases it does.
And I think that the first time that we ever talked about foster care, that was the thing that you said that made me look at the world with really, really different eyes, is foster care is a place for safety and for putting a child in a safe place, but foster care's goal is not to remove them from a parent's home forever.
No.
If that's what needs to happen, then that's what will happen for the safety of the child. And I think that's one thing that makes foster parenting such an incredible calling, if you will, because you're willing to open your heart and your home to a child that no matter what has just had trauma.
Yes.
And is in trauma because they've been taken out of their home, which the way you said, that's their life and it belongs to them, and they've been yanked out of that into complete strange surroundings. And I guess when you discovered that that's what it was going to be, and it was not necessarily that you're going to save a child, but rather you're going to provide a protected, safe environment for a period of time, what did you have to do with inside of yourself to adapt to that new thought process?
It's a process for me of prayer. I could not foster parent without God's help, because in my own strength, I don't have it in me. I had made a kind of promise, I guess, with God when we had been thinking about this process, and I was really afraid because I knew I was going to get my heart broken. I knew that it was going to be painful. I knew that there was going to be a time when this child whom I've invested in, whom I've loved, who I've tried to nurture would leave my home. And I didn't know how I was going to survive that. I thought, I don't know if I'll be able to handle it. What will I do with my grief? But through the process of a really great support system of friends, wonderful church family, and the love of God, I trusted Him with my brokenness. And He was able to heal that and let me love again. And each little piece of my heart that goes with one of those children can't be replaced,
Right.
but I know that it's safe with them, because any investment that you can make in a child that loves them for a time is worthwhile. And because I'm an adult, it's easier for me to cope with my emotions than not love a child who just is trying to survive.
There's almost nothing else to say about that. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and I want to talk to you some more about children, about St. Mary's County specifically, how you do and why you do. And I know you just said it, but we're going to have to come back to that again. How do you keep giving away a piece of your heart, and how do you encourage other people to do that as well? We'll do that in just a moment as we continue to profile Teresa Crouch, a wonderful woman along with her husband who are wonderful foster parents and who are now training other parents to become foster parents in St. Mary's County. We'll do that in just a moment. You're watching GAB with ALisa Profiles. I'm ALisa Profiles.
Leonardtown, a most convenient place for shopping, dining, or even just wandering.
Leonardtown, a most entertaining place for things to do, sights to see, and fun for everyone.
Leonardtown, a most relaxing place for a quick visit, a lazy afternoon, or a long weekend.
Watch Leonardtown, a most convenient place. A new program exclusively on MetroCast Channel 10, brought to you by Dan Burris's Old Town Insurance.
You're watching GAB with ALisa Profiles on MetroCast Channel 10. Our guests today are profile this wonderful woman, Teresa Crouch, who along with her husband, Commander Warren Crouch of the United States Navy. I just like saying that. I think it's impressive that your husband is in the Navy, so he's already serving our country. And then together the two of you have decided to serve on a very intimate, personal, local level as foster parents. I want to come right back to where we left off in our last break, because I think this is a place where tender-hearted people get stuck. When they say fostering, you bring a child in, and whatever the circumstances are, sometimes they're extremely difficult and brutal, and sometimes they're just neglect because of parents' inability to provide. So there's, the gamut of why children are in foster care is huge. But how do you do that? How do you have a child come into your home that just needs a cotton ball of life for a period of time? How do you do that, and then when things are better, let them go back? I think people trip over that when they're considering becoming foster parents.
Of course, it's a very valid concern, because it doesn't seem right.
It doesn't.
It doesn't seem right, because you invest in things and you think that you have some sort of ownership then.
Right.
But in reality, they're on loan to you. Okay. And the most powerful impact you can have in that amount of time is by protecting and nurturing a relationship with their biological family, because the child will not resent you for helping them reunite with their family.
Sure.
If you can be the one who is going to provide, love, nurture, do homework, all of those things, and still find place in your heart for the rest of their family, that child will definitely feel loved by you. And it's just a wonderful example to me of the love of Christ, because he does everything for us, right, and doesn't really get anything back from us in return except for our affection. So it's a really strange place to be. And I'm not saying you don't grieve, because I've cried and I've cried and I've cried. But I think that's appropriate. Okay. If I didn't cry, I would be worried. Because that means maybe I didn't love enough. Okay. But I know that I am in a place for a time, and kind of knowing that at the beginning helps, but maybe it's my personality too, but I can't help but go all in. I just feel like I just have to go all in. Otherwise, I would feel like I didn't do everything that I could do, and that child really does deserve all of you. And having a support system is huge. I would not recommend foster parenting if you do not have a good support system.
Really?
Of friends, of a church, of close people who can be there to hold you when you cry. After you've loved them and they've gone on, you need that too. And it's okay to receive and give.
Now, can you tell a story when you have taken in a child and then worked with their parents? Because I think that was, when I first got to know you, that was one of the things that surprised me the most, because I always thought that foster care was shrouded in secrecy and it was, you know, saviorness and what have you. But you actually have told some stories about some children that you've had in your home, and you helped foster them, but you also worked with the parents.
Absolutely. There have been a number of times that that the success has depended on the biological parents. I'm a mediator and I'm a facilitator. We supervise visits. We help with job planning skills, recipes, just basic childcare techniques. Some people just don't know what they need to do next, and sometimes they just need someone there to ask the right questions or just to help them do a little bit of self-discovery. And it is a partnership. You know, I will do my part, but the biological family also needs to do theirs. And that's another important aspect, I believe, of foster parenting, because you're investing of yourself, is having good boundaries. Just like I talk about having a good support system, I would not recommend foster parenting if you have trouble putting up good boundaries, because this is a situation where there has been trauma, there has been abuse, there has been neglect, and not every situation and every thing is safe. So you need to have a very strong sense of boundaries and awareness of this is acceptable and this is not acceptable, and not be afraid to use the boundaries, because that also protects you and it protects the child. But good boundaries are very important. We have done things in the past like help look for job training skills, teach things about how to, you know, just budget, grocery shop, different things like that, that not everyone has had the opportunity to learn from.
So sometimes there are children that are in foster care because the parents just need a moment to learn some more skills, and like you said, I liked how you phrased it, learn what to do next.
Yes.
Okay.
I think sometimes families can feel overwhelmed by circumstances. I know I feel overwhelmed by circumstances sometimes, and if I didn't have the resources that I have, I could be in the same position. So sometimes they just need someone to help them avail themselves of resources, tell them what's there, what they do need to do next.
And that is amazing how you have done that. You've opened the door and you've walked with the parents. There have been some other stories where, through circumstances, the children could not be reunited. And I know that you have adopted through foster care, not once, but twice.
I have 2 adopted children, yes.
And that must be just incredible.
It's a huge joy. Any child is a joy, and it's the greatest privilege of my life to parent 4 amazing children. And I kind of have 2 sets of children. I have 2 older and 2 younger.
You're on your second complete life.
It's very cute, though, because everybody asks me if I've only been married once, because I have 2 sets of kids. And I was like, yes, I've only been married once. We just went crazy and decided that we needed to have more kids at the end. So. Oh,
I love that. I love this story. Well, you have dreams and visions for the future, because like anything, there are parameters for foster care that it doesn't cover.
Yes.
You age out at a certain point, and then what is next? So you have dreams and visions, and I'd like to talk to you about that a little bit more. And then also see what your thoughts are encouraging people to become foster parents, and maybe take a little bit of the mystery away from that as well.
Sure.
So we'll do that in just a moment as we continue to profile Teresa Crouch and her family, wonderful foster care parents in our community. You're watching GAB with ALisa Profiles. We'll be back in just a moment.
Being your best is all about how you feel inside and out. If you feel good, you look good. Hi, I'm Dawn Campbell. Join me on MetroCast Channel 10 for Be Your Best. I'll show you creative ways to dress for success, give you quick health and fitness tips, and daily ideas for living the life you were meant to live. Be Your Best airs weekdays exclusively on MetroCast Channel 10 and is brought to you by Fitz Auto Mall.
Hi, this is James Laporte. Do you know what St. Mary's County is buzzing about? If you don't, then tune into MetroCast Channel 10 to find out. The Buzz is a weekly entertainment program featuring artists, performers, and entertainers from the area. Find out where the hot spots for entertainment are this weekend. We've got the scoop on all the fun each week on The Buzz. The Buzz is brought to you on MetroCast Channel 10 by Birch Propane. Efficient, environmentally friendly propane. Call for details, 301-373-2131.
You're watching GAB with ALisa Profiles. I'm ALisa Costas. Thanks for joining me as we profile Teresa Crouch and her husband Warren, who are foster care parents in our community. Been doing it for about 7 years. And you have made the next leap, and you have dreams of making the next leap. But the next leap is you're now training people in our community to become foster care parents as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, what does that training look like?
The training is pretty intense. It's called PRIDE. It's an acronym, and I won't bore you with the details. But it's a 9-week course, and it's once a week for 3 hours in the evening. And participation is a commitment because we need people to be very well trained before they venture into foster care. But it's a great opportunity to decide if foster care is going to be a fit for you and your family, because we give you all the details. We let you know what you can expect. We can let you know what your role is in the team. We can let you know what could happen, what may or may not happen, how the court system works, all sorts of things. It's very comprehensive training. And I'm very privileged to be able to be a foster parent co-trainer with Hillary Lasky, who is for the social work supervisor at the Department of Social Services. And we're a pretty good team, I think. We work together and present the information as best we can. And it's a great opportunity for people to examine, is this really going to work for me?
Does it work for everybody?
It does not.
Okay,
and that is fine.
Okay.
I would say that not everyone is cut out to do foster care, and you know, that is okay. I've often thought we can kind of demystify foster care a little bit too in our community, and every community, not just St. Mary's, but foster care doesn't mean you have to have a whole bunch of kids.
Okay.
You can have one. And you can take care of one child, and that's okay, and that's enough, and it matters to that one child.
You betcha, and one is plenty
it's
to mean the world.
There are
too.
no competitions. You don't get bonus points at the end or anything like that. So don't worry that you have to take tons of kids. You don't have to build onto your house or get new vehicles or any of that kind of stuff. You can definitely work with what you have. And some people may go through the process and discover, I just don't think this is a good fit for me. And we would much prefer that they discover that on the front end than on the back end.
Sure.
Because it's not good for them and it's not good for the children. But I think that more people could do it than realize that they could. And the PRIDE class is a wonderful way of discerning that for themselves, because it's very comprehensive.
Now, do you have to be a married couple to be foster? Oh.
No, married couples can do it, singles can do it, at any age too. There is very little restriction on foster parent requirements for demographically.
Okay. Now, this is a personal question for you, representative of the Crouch family. What has been the hardest thing that you faced, and what has been the, oh my gosh, I didn't see that, the most wonderful thing that you have faced with fostering?
Well, let's see. I think probably the best thing that we have faced, obviously, would be the adoption of our 2 children. I can't think of anything that beats that. Those are the best 2 days. So that I would have to say, hands down, that's the winner. Probably the most difficult thing, if I was very honest, is behavior management of the children.
Really?
Children who are abused and neglected and been traumatized often experience what we like to call challenging behaviors. And all children experience challenging behaviors. Sure. And I think that's probably been one of the most difficult things, because it's consistent positive discipline techniques to try to give them love in a structured way. But sometimes it's overwhelming, and sometimes I'm just like, mommy needs a timeout.
Mommy needs a timeout.
Because there can be some really challenging behaviors, which is another reason that a good support system is important.
And you've come back to that several times, so I think that is amazing. And if you hear anything today, if you're deciding to do this, make sure you have great friends, a great supportive social structure, whether it's through your church or whatever organization you're a part of.
Absolutely.
And just make sure you have people that when mommy needs a timeout, you've got a place to go and put your head down for a minute.
Absolutely. And if I can brag on St. Mary's County for just a minute, in this county we have one of the most effective resource parent associations in the state. Michelle Burnett is the president, and she also does many things on a national and state level. She's an officer in many ways. I'm not even sure what all they are, but she does an amazing job of making sure that foster parents in St. Mary's County have excellent continuing education education and training, but not only that, but support. The group meets once a month and are available at a phone call. So it is probably, I would say, one of the best in the state, if not the United States, because it's very active and very, very effective.
You know what, having worked here at MetroCast Channel 10, I've met a lot of people that do a lot of things, and the one thing I will say, because I've lived all over the United States and all over the world, is this is one of the best places I've ever lived for people taking care of their own and of each other. You're an all-in kind of person. Took you 10 years to talk your husband into fostering. You fostered, and then you adopted, and now you train and help other people as well. And you have a big dream for the future and what comes next.
Well, I just told my husband about this, so it's no secret.
I'm glad I'm not breaking it.
Yeah, no secret. No, he's known about it for a while. He just goes, okay.
Maybe she'll forget. Maybe she'll forget.
But our dream for the future would be to have a ranch, for lack of a better word, for young adults who are aging out of the foster care system to have a place to call home. Sometimes permanence isn't achieved through foster care system through many different factors. But to me, it seems sad that there would be young adults with no place to call home. Mm-hmm. So imagine for a moment if you wanted to go home for Thanksgiving, but you didn't have a home to go to, or if you were in a car accident and you didn't have anyone to call. That's a real life situation for a lot of young adults who age out of foster care and haven't received any sort of permanence from a family. And no matter if they're 3 or 23, you still want a family.
Right.
So our dream is to hopefully have a ranch where we can be sort of a home base of sorts for young adults. I have a couple of young adults in my home right now, and what I've noticed is that kids, especially 18 to 25, still need a lot of direction.
Yes, I will agree with that.
And they can benefit for some counsel and some advice, and it's not the same, but it would be different because they are adults. But just having some place where they can come, say, this is my home, means a lot. Especially if you don't have that.
Oh my goodness.
So that's our dream, kind of in a nutshell.
I think that is an amazing dream, and I think that it says a lot about who you are and who your husband is, that you've fostered for this long and you're still willing to do it as you head toward, the later years. I don't want to say the golden years because we're just not headed there quickly. But as you're getting older and you're still thinking, what can I still do to be a part of this dream that God has given you, and
Absolutely.
really to help other people?
It's a privilege, really, and it's an honor and a blessing to be able to work cooperatively with God to make an impact on anyone's life. I don't know what else I would do. It doesn't seem normal to me that to just go through life and not touch other people.
Sure.
I feel like we're all connected to each other, and we have a responsibility to each other and to God to love and to show grace and mercy. And I know I want that from others,
Sure.
and so I want to give it.
That's amazing. Well, Teresa, I'm so glad we had an opportunity to have you on the program, and I love how you talk about fostering and taking care of people right here in your own community. And I know that traditionally on ranches, if you get your ranch, that you're supposed to have a cowboy hat and boots, but I think you guys should have capes. Oh, I think they should have 2 C's on the back and, Commander Crouch's camp for young foster adults. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see about
if we can
that.
Talk him into that.
I'm pretty sure we're down with the boots, though.
Okay,
yeah.
Boots and capes it is. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for all that you do in our community to help families, not just foster kids, but families, because that's what it's all about.
Thank you, ALisa.
All right. Thanks for joining us for this episode of GAB with ALisa. We'll see you next time.